are the group 2 and we are going to report carbon rings in alicyclic hydrocarbons, carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen.
What is carbon rings? Carbon rings are six carbon atoms are bound together in a tetrahedral orientation to form carbon rings, which are highly common ring structures. Cycloalkanes, which are cyclic hydrocarbons, are carbon rings because the carbons in the molecule are grouped in the shape of a ring. Additionally, cycloalkane are saturated, which means that there are no double or triple bonds between any of the carbon atoms that make up the ring. The functional group of carbon ring is an aromatic functional group, which is benzene ring. An aromatic functional group characterized by a ring of six carbon atoms bonded by alternating single and double bonds. A benzene ring with a single substituent is called a pentyl group. Number 1 is saturated carbon compounds, are single bonded only. Example of this is alkanes. Alkanes are chemical compounds that consist of carbon and hydrogen atoms. So they are also called hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbons which contains only single bonds are called alkenes. They are called saturated hydrocarbon because there is a hydrogen in every possible location. Example of alkane is ethene, which has chemical formula of C2H6, has two carbons that share a single bond, which is why they are called saturated carbons. Number 2 is unsaturated carbon compounds, are compounds that are double or triple bonded. Just like alkene and alkynes, alkenes are a family of hydrocarbons, which are compounds containing a carbon and hydrogen only. It contains a carbon-carbon double bond, and alkynes are organic molecules made of the functional group carbon-carbon, triple bonds, and these are unsaturated hydrocarbons.
What is alicyclic hydrocarbons? So cyclic compounds with ring structures containing only carbon atoms are called alicyclic or carbocyclic compounds. Though these compounds possess a ring structure, they behave more like alipathic compounds. So this is the four basic types of alicyclic hydrocarbon. There are cyclopropane, cyclobutane, cyclohexane, and cyclopentane. The first one is cyclopropane. Cyclopropane is a cycloalkane composed of three carbon atoms to form a ring. Cyclopropane is a hydrocarbon ring that was discovered in 1882, and it began to be used as an anesthetic in 1933. And it is extremely flammable and thus no longer used clinically. The second one is cyclobutane. Cyclobutane is a cycloalkane and organic compound. Cyclobutane is a colorless gas, and it is used as an intermediate in organic synthesis. And the third one is cyclohexane. Cyclohexane is a colorless, mobile liquid with a mild, sweet odor. Cyclohexane is used as a solvent, oil extractant, paint and varnish remover, and in solid fuels. And the last one is cyclopentane. Cyclopentane is highly flammable acyclic hydrocarbon. Cyclopentane is a blowing agent for the polyurethane foams that are used to insulate refrigerators and freezers.
The next topic will be carbon. So what is carbon? Carbon is essential to life. This is because it is able to form a huge variety of chains of different lengths. It was once thought that the carbon-based molecules of life could only be obtained from living things, and they were thought to contain a spark of life. What is carbon used for? Carbon is used some way in most every industry in the world. It is used for fuel in the form of coal, methane gas, and crude oil, or which is used to make gasoline. It is used to make all sorts of materials including plastics and alloys such as steel, or a combination of carbon and iron. The characteristics of carbon includes carbon can make 4 electrons to form a covalent bond. It has a number of allotropes and other forms of existence. This includes diamond and graphite with distinctive properties. Carbon is highly unreactive under conditions that are normal. It contains 6 protons in the nucleus and thus has the atomic number 6. Carbon is both nonmetallic and tetravalent. It is available in various shapes. In instance, carbon can make a single bond, double bond, and triple bond with other atoms. It can make linear, branch chains, and cyclic compounds by bonding with other carbon atoms and other elements.
So let's describe the properties of carbon. The chemical properties are the characteristics that determine how substances will react with other substances when they change chemically. In the chemical properties, carbon has four chemical properties, which is compound, oxidation, reactivity, and chain of atom. The carbon have atomic number of 6. The oxidation of this carbon combines with oxygens to produce carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. The reactivity of carbon does not dissolve in or react with water or acids. Carbon has the ability to make long string or chain of atom. So what is the importance of carbon? Carbon is a compound that can be found in almost all living things. This is the reason it plays a vital role in a category of organic compounds. In general view of element, we can first describe carbon as the dark gray to non-metallic solid. It is constituent of organic matter. In fact, the human body is about 18% carbon by weight. It makes up the life process by making up other cells and structures of an organism. Carbon's ability to readily form bond with other atoms, giving flexibility to form a function that biomolecules can take, such as DNA and RNA, which are essential for the defining characteristic of life. Therefore, carbon is essential for living. Diamonds and graphite are examples of their purest form. Carbon can easily form a molecule by combining it with other elements. Carbon exists freely as diamond and graphite. It is constituent of cold limestones and petroleum. Carbon is one of the most versatile of elements and form more compounds than any other elements. The molecules are carbon-based and they form the base building blocks of human, plants, animals, soils, and trees. These molecules form a structure of living things and carry out most of the processes that keep organisms alive. Carbon dioxide and methane are a form of greenhouse gas that consists molecules that are carbon-based. One of the most important compounds of carbon is a charcoal, which is formed when it's heated in the absence of air. Carbon also occurs in newly discovered form known as fullerenes or buckyballs. A fullerene is any molecule composed entirely of carbon. These fullerenes are structured to graphite, and also fullerenes occurs in carbon dioxide, coal, oil, and all organic compounds. These properties can also be found in fossil fuels. These molecules are made of hydrocarbons that consist of hydrogen and carbon.
Oxygen is one of the key elements required for human survival. Oxygen comprises 21% of the gases present in the Earth's atmosphere and has very distinct characteristics like any other element. There are various properties of oxygen, which are the chemical and physical properties. So oxygen is an element that is widely known by the general public because of the large role it plays in sustaining life. The most abundant element in the Earth's crust is oxygen. It accounts for around 21% of the air humans breathe. The ability of an organism to reproduce, grow, and transform food into energy is aided by the presence of oxygen. With the support of oxygen, our cells can digest food and obtain the energy we require to survive. Let's move on to the physical properties of oxygen. Oxygen is one of the most important and basic elements found in the Earth's atmosphere. All living animals need oxygen in the air to survive. Without oxygen, there would be no trace of life on Earth. Oxygen is used in medical applications, commercial and industrial practices all over the world. Based on the guide to different physical and chemical properties of oxygen, it can be used in different areas. Oxygen is essential for human life. Without oxygen, all living things will not exist in this world. Oxygen can also be stored in tank, or what we call oxygen tank, which is widely used by mountaineers for proper breathing in high altitude areas, where there is a distinct shortage of oxygen in the air. In medical purposes, it is also used to support the breathing for surgical patients in the hospital, or the supplementary oxygen. Oxygen is colorless and odorless and does not have any taste. Oxygen has a higher density than air because the value of air density is about 1.29 grams per liter at standard temperature and pressure. However, the density of oxygen is 1.43 grams per liter at standard temperature and pressure. Oxygen is also a very poor conductor of heat and electricity. Oxygen is soluble in some liquids such as water, alcohol, etc. It solids slightly. So let's move on to the chemical properties of oxygen. Oxygen does not burn itself, but fire needs oxygen to keep burning. It supports combustion. Oxygen supports the chemical processes that occur during fire. When fuel burns, it reacts with oxygen from the surrounding air, releasing heat and generating combustion products. Oxygens can be in multiple types of compounds. The compounds include iron, water, carbon dioxide, and etc. When it unites with other substances, it is known as the oxidation process. So, if yung oxygen daw is nakipag-unite sa ibang substance, tinatawag itong oxidation process. Oxygen is a very strong oxidizing agent. Bakit nga ba very strong oxidizing agent yung oxygen? Because it accepts electrons into the empty spaces in its valence shell. Each oxygen atom has 2 empty spaces in their valence shell, which means they want to gain 2 electrons. This means that oxygen is reduced and is an oxidizing agent. What is the chemical formula of oxygen gas? So the chemical formula of oxygen gas is O2.
Hydrogen is the first element on the periodic table, has the atomic symbol H and atomic numbered chemical element 1, and has a molecular formula H2. Hydrogen is also unique among the elements in the periodic table because it has similarities to alkali metals and halogens, and so it is placed separately. Hydrogen is a colorless, odorless, tasteless, and flammable gaseous substance that is the simplest family member of the chemical elements. Hydrogen is a clean alternative to methane and is also known as natural gas. It is the most abundant chemical element, estimated to contribute 75% of the mass of the universe. Here on Earth, vast numbers of hydrogen is a significant water element. The body cells remain hydrated due to water and help remove toxins from the body, and so hydrogen enables the body to produce energy. Why do we need hydrogen? Hydrogen is a significant water element. The body cells remain hydrated due to water and help remove toxins from the body. Hydrogen also enables the body to produce energy. Why does hydrogen exist in nature? Hydrogen exists in nature because it happens mainly in the form of water on Earth. Each water molecule, or H2O, includes 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen.